The seventh lesson in Module 12 is Parallel Line and Transversals. We will look into the learning objectives. We have to identify special angle pairs, parallel and skew lines, and transversals. Find values by applying theorems about parallel lines and transversals. Now we will look into the keywords: parallel lines, skew lines, parallel planes, transversal, complementary, interior angles, and exterior angles. Some of these terms you have already come across before, but some might be new, like skew lines. So we will look into them now. Parallel and skew lines. As you can see over here, there are two horizontal lines and one slant line. Parallel lines all can never intersect each other. Now, for example, over here, JK and LM, the line JK and LM, you can see they are having the same slope but different y-intercept. They will never touch each other. So these are parallel lines. They're coplanar lines that do not intersect. Whereas skew lines would have intersected, but they are in separate planes, so they do not intersect. The lines that do not intersect and they are not coplanar, they are in separate planes. That's why. So lines L, M, over here you can see L is in the plane A and M is in the plane B, and they are skew. Parallel planes, basically two planes which are parallel that do not touch each other or do not intersect each other, are parallel planes. Over here plane A and B. Now let us solve this problem over here. Identify parallel and skew relationships. Identify each of the following using the cube shown, the figures given. Assume lines and planes that appear to be parallel or perpendicular are parallel and perpendicular respectively. What they mean is, look over here, this and this is supposed to be parallel, isn't it? If they look like that, yes, then assume it to be parallel. And now, for example, this and this is perpendicular over here. So then if it looks like perpendicular, then they are perpendicular. Now, they have given us the questions, all lines skew to BC. So this is the line over here, BC. Which are the skew lines which do not intersect it? Now, if you're thinking A, D, E, F, E, wait a minute, because F, D, F, E, and A, D are parallel lines, even G, H. They're parallel lines, so don't consider them. Consider other than the parallel lines which do not intersect. Say, for example, AF, DE, even EH, and GF. These are the skew lines. AF, DE, FG, and HE. So just remember, don't consider the parallel lines, consider non-parallel, but do not the ones which do not touch this line or do not intersect it. You can't consider AB or FB or any of these because they touch this line. Okay, so that is about skew lines. And what about lines parallel to EH? Where is EH? EH is over here. What are the lines parallel to it? Parallel means same position, same slope, but at different position. They'll not touch. So now this is a parallel line. Even this is a parallel line, and this is a parallel line. So AB over here, uh, FG and CD. So these are the three parallel lines. All all the lines parallel to EH. So EH is this, and these are the three parallel lines. And now next one would be all planes parallel to the plane DCH, which is DCH. So this is the plane. Now, which is the plane that is parallel to it? This plane ADEF? No, because it touches not even this plane, not the up, not the bottom. Only one plane is parallel, that is ABG or AFG or AFB. This one. Okay, the one which I have just now shaded, this one. So the ABG is the plane that is parallel to DCH. So that is about parallel and skew relationships. Now we will quickly look into transversal as well. So transversal is basically a line which cuts at cuts two different lines at 2 points at different points. See now, a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane at different points is called transversal. You can see over here, these are the two lines Q and R, and T would be the transversal. So over here there is transversal angle pair relationship. Now this is very crucial because when a transversal cuts two lines, there are different angles that are formed and they are given separate names. Now see, let's see all the angles. Interior angles. Now you can see this is the transversal. These are the two lines that are being intersected. You can see this will be, these are the interior, the angles which are inside, whereas this is exterior angles. So interior angles would be the ones which are inside, 4, 3, 5, 6, and exterior angles are 1, 2, 8, 7. Now consecutive interior angles mean which are not these are alternate, right? Sorry, adjacent. 4 and 3 are adjacent, not the adjacent, the opposite to it in the continuous manner. See, 4 and 5, 3 and 6, they are consecutive interior angles, whereas alternate are the opposite ones, alternating opposite, 4 and 6 and 3 and 5. And then similarly, alternate exterior angles can be formed over here, that is 1 and 7, 2 and 8. And lastly, we have corresponding angles. This is, see now, interior exterior is very simple and easy. Over here also alternate interior exterior is very easy. Consecutive is also simple, continuous. The corresponding angles is very crucial. Corresponding means, now imagine one. One is at the top left side. So in this particular line, which from the transversal line Q, you know, these four angles, it's the top left. So the corresponding angle to this will be the same top and left. So top left would be phi. So these both are corresponding. Now if I want corresponding angle of 7, that would be right down. Same way, right side down would be 3. So 7 and 3. You can see 2 and 6. That means 2, 6. So this and this is corresponding. This and this, 6 and 2. And left down, 4, left down is 8. So those are the corresponding angles. So with this information, we can easily solve a few problems. Now they have asked you to classify the relationship between each pair of angles as alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding or consecutive interior angles. Now over here, they have given us few angles. So 4 and 5. Let's see what is this. When you look at it, you must understand they are inside, interior and opposite direction. So alternate interior angles. Now what about the next one? 3 and 7. 3, 7. See, this is at left down. This is also left down. So they are corresponding angles. Now 3 and 5. 3 is over here, 5 is over here. They are in the same interior and consecutive, so they are consecutive interior angles. 1 and 8, let's see where is 1 and 8. 1 is over here, 8 is over here. Alternate, but they are outside, so alternate exterior angles. So please try to understand. Interior means inside, exterior means outside, alternate means opposite like this, consecutive is same, and corresponding is the one which is relating to the position. If it is top left, this also must be top left. So let's again identify transversals and classify the angle pairs. Identify the transversal connecting each pair of angles in this photo. Then classify the relationship between each pair of angles. So now over here, see, there are how many transversals? D, E, F, G. So now these are all the angles formed. They are not given all. Let's consider the first transversal D. We can see um, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can consider any and you can write the relation. Now we can consider 2 and 3 because the relationship between these both is very easy to know. That is corresponding angles about 2 and 3. Because now we do not have a proper relation between 2 and 4. It's not interior, it's exterior. So you can find the this and this, that's exterior, but still any one is enough. Over here 2, 3, you know the relationship is corresponding angle. If at all this angle was some angle was over here, then it would be alternate interior. Okay, so now then let's take another example, another line, that is E, that's transversal E now. And over here they have considered 7 and 6. You can consider any, but over here you can see 7 and 6 is known. So these are consecutive and interior. Consecutive interior angle. So next would be transversal F, and you can see which are known. So over here there are all these angles known, so it's up to you to choose. You can say, you can take 7 and 1, they are external. Over here now 1 and 8 is taken because they're corresponding angle, or you could have taken even 7 and 1, they are external alternate angles. It's up to you. So it depends on the options basically. And over here transversal G, over here they have taken 6 and 3. This is alternate exterior angles. Sorry, I told external, it's exterior angles. So now over here, now for example in the transversal D, only 2 and 3 is mentioned, but you can also consider 1 and 4, that is alternate exterior angles. It's up to you. It depends. At least one relationship is enough over here. That's why only one is considered. But you can take any. It's up to you. Even 1 and 4 is correct if you have written alternate exterior. So mainly if this comes in MCQs, so look into the options thoroughly and see for the relationship between them. Angles and parallel lines. I hope you remember what we learned in the previous video about transversals and parallel lines. If you have not watched the previous video, please go back to the previous video and watch it. Now we will recall the formulas, the theorems. Now, if two lines are parallel and they're cut by a transversal, there are special relationship between the angles that are formed by the lines. Now over here, few of the theorems are corresponding angles. We know what is corresponding angles. Just a while ago we had learned if the positioning is similar, then they are corresponding angles. Now imagine angle 1. It is at the top left side, so same way top left side over here would be corresponding to it. Same way over here 7 is down right, 5 is down right. So 5 and 7, 1 and 3, 2 and 4, and 6 and 8 are corresponding angles. We know about alternate interior angle. Before I tell one thing I forgot to tell you, the theorem states that if at all the corresponding angles are there, whatever the measure of the angle is congruent. So that is what the theorem says. It's basically what we had seen in the previous video. Same thing over here now, alternate interior angles. We know interior are the inside angles. So now these two lines, inside is all the angles over here, this and this. The four angles are interior. So if we consider 2, 6 is interior, 2 and 6. So now alternate means opposite. So 7 and 3 over here, alternate interior. So now 7 and 3 is congruent, 2 and 6 is congruent. So this is about interior angles. Now about consecutive interior angles, that is continuous. So now if we consider say 2 and then now 3 over here would be continuous. So something like this. Now let me just check this 1 and 3. Okay, I'm sorry for this. 1 and 3 is not consecutive. Uh, there is an error over here. I apologize for that. I'll just rechange this and edit it later on. Now this is supposed to be 2 over here. 2 and 3 are consecutive interior angles. 7 and 6 and 7. This is correct. So just to make it clear, Now, it depends on how the angles are cut. In this case, this and this are interior angle. The same side interior angle, I'll tell you about it. Now, since over here, the two lines are parallel like this, horizontally, therefore these would be the consecutive interior angles. So in this case, same side means consecutive. In this case, it'd be 2 and 3, 7 and 6. I hope that is clear. So always remember, consecutive means same side, okay? In interior in the same side, whereas alternate is opposite side. Now the last one I guess is alternate exterior. So now exterior is the outside angles. This is 1, this is 5. Exterior outside angles are 1, 8, 4 and 5. Now what about this angle 4? It is exterior, it's congruent to 8. So these are congruent to each other. And that's okay. There is a special relationship that is about perpendicular transversal theorem. In a plane, if a line is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, then it is perpendicular to the other. Now, what it means is, if this is the transversal, you're cutting one of the line and it's making a 90 degree. Then, since the slopes of the parallel lines are same, other line also must be cut at 90 degree itself. So that is what it says. Okay, because these are corresponding angles, isn't it? Now, if it was, say, 30 degrees over here, no, this looks like 60 degrees. So this also would be 60 degrees because they're corresponding. Same way 90 and 90. So then we will look into some problems now. Use theorems about parallel lines. Cross ties I and K, this is about railway cross ties, are parallel. I and K. Okay, these two lines. Okay, over here you can see I and K. Okay, it is a little bit faded. I is over here, K is over here. So this is, sorry for that. So this is one line and this is one line and they are parallel. Both cross ties are intersected by cross tie H. Can you see this line H over here? So this is this is cutting them. So that's the transversal. If 1 is 45, look over here, this angle 1 is, sorry, not 45, 42 degrees. What about the measure of angle 7? Now, look carefully over here. This is the exterior angles, this is the exterior angles, and they are alternate. Whenever they are alternate to each other, what happens? They are congruent, isn't it? So, now 7 and 1 is congruent. Why? They are alternate exterior angles. If they are alternate exterior angles, then the measure of these both must be congruent to each other because they are alternate exterior angles. From the congruent angles theorem, we had seen the measure must be equal. So that means if 1 is 42, even the measure of 7 must be 42. That is the answer. It's a very simple, basic one. Now, let us see another one over here. The figure is given. We need to find x based on these conditions. The measure of 3 is given to be 4x plus 7 and measure of 6 is 5x minus 13. Now 3 and 6, look at this, 3 and 6. Over here 3, 6. Analyze the figure over here and find the relationship. They are inside interior alternate because they are opposite. So alternate interior angles. Now we know alternate interior angles are congruent. 3 and 6 are congruent. So measure of 3 and measure of 6 is equal to each other. Now just equate these both equations. 4x plus 7, 5x minus 3. Keep x at one side and the numbers at one other sides. Since 5 is greater than 4, 5x will remain over there. 4 is taken to the other side, will be minus 4x. This minus 13 goes to the other side and becomes plus 13 with 7. 7 plus 13. It'll be 20 at the left side and it's 5x minus 4x. It's 1x. We don't write 1. If we write x, that means the coefficient is already 1. So x is 20 in this case. So x value is 20. Now over here again we have a similar figure, same figure. Now they have given us told us to find y, and the measure of 8, this angle is given 68 and measure of angle 3 is given. So how do we find? First, analyze the relationship between them. They're not corresponding, they are not, it's not easy to find them because we don't have any relation between these two specific ones. So what do? Now, we do not have relationship between 3 and 8. Don't worry about that. You can relate with 5, right? Or you can relate with something else. See, because 3 and 6 is related, you can relate 3 and 5. So what you do is relate 8 with 6 or 5. So what we are doing over here in this problem, 8 and 5 are related. Then you can find the angle of 3. So what we basically do is 8 and 5 is equal to each other. Why? Because we know that they are vertical angles. See, whenever there are two straight lines, the opposite angles are vertical and they are congruent to each other. So 5 and 8 are equal. So measure of 5 is equal to measure of 8. That means the angle phi, measure of angle phi is 68 degrees. Okay, that is fine. Now, how do we get a relationship between 3 and 5 so that we can find the y? We know they are in the same side, so it's consecutive interior angles. And in one of the theorem we had seen, if we go back in the video when we saw about the same side, I forgot to tell, whenever they are same side, they are supplementary. Okay, very important to remember. Consecutive angles are always supplementary. That means when you add them, it will be equal to 180 degrees. So just remember, when there are consecutive interior angles, they're continuous to each other. When you add them up, it will be supplementary or they are 180 degrees. So now when you add 3 and 5, you will get 180. So substitute, what is 3? 3y minus 2. And what is 5? It is 68. Solve this. You can take 2 to the other side and then divide it by 3. Sorry, take this entire thing to the other side and then divide by 3. You will get the answer 38. You can directly solve it in the calculator. Otherwise, if you want the steps, it's 180 minus 68 plus 2. Now, when you solve this, you will get one answer and then divide the entire term by 3 equals y. So this is the final answer. You will get as 38. So this is how we can solve these problems. So that is the end of this lesson. It's a very simple and easy lesson. Just remember about the relationship between transversals and parallel. That is alternate interior, alternate exterior, or same side, that is consecutive interior angles, and few of the things like vertical angles, all those. Just looking at the figure, see over here, understand these opposite are always congruent. Now even these are congruent. Now if they are vertical opposite angles, they are congruent. So if you understand those relationships, doesn't matter what sort of problem is given, it's very easy to solve once you know the relationships. If you have any doubts, please put them down in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible.